Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of my podcast, where today we're going to be recapping season 3 episode 8 titled Thresholds of the hit series From. And I'm so excited to share with you all that I was able to interview Hannah Cheramy, aka Julie Matthews. So go ahead and listen to my recap and make it all the way to the end so that you can see the questions that I asked her and the things to come. So I'm sitting here and I'm trying to do my setup when my lab, Doug, is just sitting in the way where I put my chair normally. And I'm hovering the chair over him. He looks at me, I look at him. He turns away from me, so I had to scoot my stuff over. So yeah, dogs and kids really don't give a fuck about what you got going on. Like, you better make it work. Like, I don't understand. What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I'm your hostess, doing the mostest, Kivanshi, and we are almost at the finish line, y'all, from season 3, episode 8, Thresholds. What an explosive episode. So many questions answered, so many stories aligning, and we only have 2 more left. So I'm gonna just put this little nugget in y'all brain. What do y'all think is gonna happen in the finale? Like, I want to ask y'all this now, and as we go through this recap, okay, maybe you're thinking about some of the things that you missed. Maybe I talk about some things that you missed. Maybe I don't talk about things that you were thinking about. So keep that in your mind as you listen to this recap, as you watch this recap. Put comments in the comments below, leave some reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts specifically about this episode if you want. You can find me on Instagram at So There's That if you want to comment under a post or any other post that I have about this particular episode. And you can find me on Twitter at Kivanshi. Now, I will say I am upset because this entire series, I have been on Boyd's side the entire time. There was not a single decision that he made that was wrong in my eyes. Like, given the circumstances and given the things that he's been through himself, like, I'm Team Boyd. Like, it is what it is. Now, am I still Team Boyd? Absolutely. Am I still, like, the COO of his council? Absolutely. But I am squinting my eyes and I'm looking at him sideways because, boy, buddy, like, we are not making good decisions. And I was tweeting Harold and I was just like, why are you making me do this? Like, I have to go in a little bit on you. Otherwise, will the people who trust me to give these recaps trust me anymore? Will I be biased? Okay, and I can't do that because, sir, what are we doing? What are we doing? So with that, we're gonna jump into this episode because I am hungry. I am very much starving, okay? And much like Fatima's monster baby, I need to feed this thing inside of me. So let's get into it. So previously, the things that they want us to focus on are Julie, Marielle, and Randall trap. And when we first saw Julie talking to Ethan about it, and he's telling her, like, you know, ever since you woke up, you've been a little bit different. Like, what's going on, sis? Then we have Randall and Julie seeing the threshold of this place for the first time, and it's kind of calling to them, and Julie's kind of getting pulled towards it while Randall's like, fuck no, like, we're not doing that. Next, we have Tab telling Jim about her dream, and them basically kind of talking with Jade and just being like, you know, you were always destined to come to this place if you saw it as a little girl. Like, there's no universe that you would never come here. Victor was trying to get Jasper to tell him the secrets, and it was failing. And we already know, like, Henry was like, Victor, son, this is a doll. Like, it's for play. Like, I don't really know, like, what you're looking for. Then we have the kimono lady, where we found that she was communicating through the Polaroid camera to Elgin, and we found out that it was about Fatima or something pertaining to Fatima. Then finally, in the previously, Fatima was telling Ellis that her anger and her cravings was getting stronger and nobody was listening to her. And when Tilly tried to help her out in the greenhouse, she stabbed Tilly with shears and subsequently committed murder. So where are we now? Boyd has Fatima out in the woods and he's like, listen, tell me everything that's going on. And she finally starts talking to him about all the anger and the buildup and how she's not been feeling like herself this entire week. And she just went out there to try to get some food, but she just wasn't trying to eat the rotten food anymore. And Tilly came out to help her and she just felt angry and felt like she had an out-of-body experience as she grabbed the shears and stabbed Tilly. And so she's freaking out and she's like, oh my God, I left her out there. And Boyd's like, look, you're not going back. We're gonna keep you here for a little bit and they're just gonna have to find the body. And Fatima's like, no, like we have to tell them like what's going on, like something is off in me. And Boyd is like, look, no. He puts up a talisman on the little hut that he has her in and he's like, we will figure this out, like everything is gonna be okay. But we know, right, based on the way that the people in this town react, everything is not gonna be okay. And this is the start of Boyd making such horrible decisions throughout this entire episode because, sir, this is a promise that you absolutely cannot keep. So Jade and his new girlfriend Tab, Ethan, and that man Jim are coming back from the woods after having all of their revelations, and Ethan kind of runs off in the house with a little bit of an attitude. Now, I didn't talk about this in the last episode, but he was hearing Jim like talk to Tabitha and basically try to tell her like, oh, this is not real, this is all in your head, and he was eavesdropping a little bit. And we know that he's been really struggling internally with the divorce. And I think it was 2 to 3 episodes ago where he said, I wish that the monsters would come out and scare us even more, because at least then everybody was getting along and we were so worried about working together that we didn't have time to fight and argue with one another. And for him to be so young, that's a huge insight. And it also brings up what I've been talking about the last 2 episodes. The monsters have been letting them be each other's antagonists and allowing them the space to be angry with one another, to mistrust each other, to doubt one another, because their presence was uniting them. It's the whole reason that they thought that they could escape and get out of here in the first place. So the monsters has taken a very noticeable step back, and now the fact that they're not there anymore, they've already sowed the seeds of destruction within this community. So Ethan saying that a few episodes ago really is like paramount in this episode and in his own feelings, because this is the ultimate goal. And it honestly makes me wonder if back then when everybody died, did the monsters kill everybody, or did they start to kill each other first when they started turning on each other and the monsters just came to finish the job? Things to think about. Anyways, Jay goes back into his spot and he is thinking about getting him a drink. Now, he hasn't been drinking since he talked to Dead Tom because he got stuff to figure out. When he hears a noise coming from the back of his room, and Henry ends up coming out. And I didn't even realize that this was the first time he's ever met Henry. And Henry's like, look, I just came to get refreshed and like shit is crazy up in this town, bruh. Do you mind if I get a drink? And Jay's like, you know, go ahead, like shit, I was about to get me one too, so make yourself at home. Back at Colony House, it seems like people are just kind of going about their day, and we see Marielle kind of coming up with a backpack. I think this was the same day that she said she was gonna go back to Fatima. I think she was just coming back to just check on Fatima with everything that's going on and the fact that they never saw a baby in the uterus, because she has some supplies and stuff. Elgin is on the porch. I don't even know what he's doing at this point. The camera is sitting there on the porch railings when a member of Colony House finds Tilly out in the greenhouse. So as they're all running to the greenhouse, while he's like, oh my God, like y'all need to come out here, it's Tilly, it's Tilly, the camera spits out another photo. And once again, we don't see the photo, but Elgin looks at it and he looks up. Now, again, like I said last episode, the monsters are doing a really good job at grooming and isolating Elgin away from everybody else. Now, I know a lot of people hear the term grooming and they think instantly like pedophilia, but when you're in like an abusive relationship, psychological abuse, the term still applies. And I've been saying it and I'm still saying it again. The moment he had that premonition, Elgin has been in a bubble all his own, to the point that nobody's paying attention, that he's carrying around his Polaroid camera like an emotional support animal. Like, why is the camera not in your room? Like, you know what I mean? And so we see that he is latching on to this form of communication with the town and with the monsters. So that is his friend right now. So much like Victor was holding on to his lunchbox and now this whole Jasper situation, you have Elgin with this camera and everybody's just like, oh, he's just having a camera and all these other things. But like, when you get those close-ups with him in this camera, you can see that from our point of view that he's dependent upon this and he's latched himself to this fully and wholly, and like there's no coming back for Elgin at this point in time. I don't think anybody talking to him will get him to turn on what he wholeheartedly believes in, and that's because nobody has talked to him. Nobody really knows what's going on, and so he is stuck in his own world of his and the monster's own making. And this moment with him on the porch, to me, it was just like, he's gone. Like, he belongs to the town. Boyd is with Ellis and they're trying to come up with a cover story, and Ellis is like, no, let's just tell the truth. Like, maybe they will understand. And Boyd is like, bruh, do you think these fucking people are gonna understand? Are you shitting me right now? Like, they're going to want to put her in the box. There's no amount of getting around the fact that they will be scared of her. So we need to come up with a plan so that we can hide her out until we figure out like what is going on. We have to let this play out as if we have no idea what's happening. And we're seeing this battle between Ellis and Boyd, and it's where Boyd used to be this beacon of let's justice prevail and let's allow the people to have their feelings about things. Boyd is now taking a stark difference in that. Abby's name was mentioned a good 4 times last episode, and he never brought it up. He never really engaged in the conversation when Donna was talking about what happened with Abby and when Ellis was talking about what happened with Abby. But now we see with Fatima, someone he loves, his daughter-in-law, could be going through the same thing and has committed murder like his wife. It's almost as if Boyd is like, you know what? I did the right thing with my wife, and look at what it got me. I lost her. And so I'm now wondering at this moment, with the decisions that he's making behind Fatima, is this the alternate decision that he wishes he would have made with his own wife, to hide her out until things blew over? Because this is unlike Boyd. And now we're seeing Ellis on the opposite side, where he's like, we need to be honest. And this is a little bit different for Ellis too, because Ellis wasn't really like a likable person whatsoever, and very questionable morals, especially with everything that was going on at the town hall. But then you also have to wonder, is Boyd also thinking about how the town hall went as well, how everybody was feeling about Acosta, how everybody was feeling about the tree, and all of these wild feelings that were out everywhere. And it's like, if we tell them about this, what could that mean about the state of everybody, and will they all just turn on each other? Which takes me back to my theory, like I said a few minutes ago. Did they all kill each other? Like, I wonder if in one of Victor's memories it will be that the monsters didn't kill them, they killed each other. I don't know. So Boyd goes up to Tilly and he's pretending like this is the first time that he's seen the body. And he's like, you know, did anybody see anything? Do we know when this happened? And Acosta is there, Kenny is there, and they're like, okay, we need to question everybody in Colony House. And Boyd is like, okay, cool, that's good. Donna comes in and, you know, she's a little taken aback, but honestly, you can tell that she's getting like desensitized to the whole situation, because a lot of people in her house has died, like a lot. It has not let up since season 2 for Donna. And she's like, okay, all right, well, first things first, we need to go talk to Sara because we just need to rule her out. And Boyd's like, Sara didn't do it. And she's like, listen, it don't even matter if Sara did it. Sara is someone who they know killed somebody. So we can rule her out. And if she's purely innocent, she's innocent. But whether Sara did it or not, they're all going to think that she did it. So we need to figure out the truth before they decide to just pull up on her and convict her on this witch hunt regardless. So Boyd's like, okay, well, I agree with you, but let's both talk to her together. Now, I take this to mean that Boyd wants to talk to her together, not in the vein of his, we're not going to keep secrets from each other, but more so in the vein that he could steer the conversation and the questioning in line where Sara could answer in a way that will absolve herself, even though he knows she didn't do it, so he wouldn't have to do that in the first place. So we're watching Boyd kind of scheme in a very criminal manner here, and oh, Boyd, this ain't what you want. This ain't what you want. Sara is in the basement playing dolls with Victor and Jasper. And Victor is like, bitch, didn't I tell you that that's not what he sounds like? And Sarah's like, I don't know, but like, what do you want from me? Like, this is a toy. Like, I'm doing my best. And Victor's like, you suck. Like, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. And Scotty McCord continuously getting his flowers because his scenes are both heartbreaking and funny. And Sara was just on Instagram Live and she said some of the best scenes that she has is with Scotty McCord, and some things being a little ad-libbed in the way that they connect physically and the way that they lean on one another for support in those scenes. And you can really see their chemistry and you can see their love for each other and the fun that they have in those moments with one another in the way that they react, because Sara is so worried for Victor and she has no idea what to do. And it's in this moment where she's like, okay, I'm in over my head and I need help from somebody because I cannot do this by myself. Back at Jim and his ex-wife's house, he's walking in the kitchen and he got this smug fucking look on his face. Like, you can tell that Jim has never been fucking punched. And I need somebody to do it ASAPidly. He has a smug look on his face as he's leaning against the door jamb. He's like, this place just, it just got you thinking that you can save people and, you can save these kids. But, like, it ain't even for real. And Tab is just washing dishes because she's like, I'm fucking done with you. You keep saying you don't believe me, then you're going to believe me, then you don't believe me, then you're going to believe me. Yes, girl, washing dishes because he ain't saying nothing new. And at this point, you have Jade. You have your new man. You have your kids. That's all you need. So then he goes and he's like, you know why this phone is off the wall? It's because Thomas called. And I vomited in the back of my throat and swallowed it at this point, because here you go again, weaponizing the children against your wife to get her to align with your beliefs. You did it when you pulled up the whole Ethan thing and you didn't want Ethan to go out there and help Tabitha when she first came back from the real world, and you're doing it now by using her dead son to try to have a conversation with her. Please, knife in the chest, monster teeth at his head. Give us something. Push him through the tree and let him go and rest with Dale. Please. It is so disgusting in how he consistently is not on Tabitha's side. Like, I was trying to let up last episode, but here he comes. And I can't turn a blind eye. I'm going to continue to sit on the throne of those of us who hate Jim. And the rest of y'all, you are welcome into this sanctuary. It is open for all. Anything that you feel for him, let me know. I will condone it. I will condone everything except having some weird parasocial relationship where you start attacking the real actor. That he's doing his job and he's doing it very well. So I condone all things about the character. You start bleeding into real life, you're getting blocked. Okay, not doing it. Just have to put that disclaimer out there. Elgin, again, ain't nobody ever paying attention to him. He goes over to the medical house and Randall sees him. He's like, are you trying to go through this medicine cabinet? And he's like, no, I'm just going to get a band-aid, cut my foot, like, nothing to see here. And Randall has this moment where he apologizes to Elgin and he's like, look, my bad for treating you the way that I treated you. You were right, and we should have turned around on that bus. And Elgin's like, oh, you know, sorry I vomited on you or whatever. And they kind of have this moment that's not really a moment, like it's genuine for Randall, but Elgin's like, okay, move the fuck along. And when he moves along, we finally see what was in the picture. And it's basically an IV bag full of blood, signifying a blood transfusion. Now, at this point, you gotta just be dense to not know what this means. Fatima needs blood. The rotten food is not cutting it anymore. And we know the kimono lady is connected to Fatima. So at this point, it's like, okay, he needs to get blood to Fatima quick, fast, and in a hurry. So he pulls out an IV kit. He's looking around, you know, making sure can't nobody see him. And he knows nobody else is there because everybody's out at Colony House trying to figure out who killed Tilly. So he's just doing what he needs to do. It's literally, Elgin is like a cat, where you know the cat is around, but then you got to stop and be like, anybody seen the cat lately? That's Elgin. Sara hightailed it out of her house and was banging on Tab and them's door, basically saving Tab, honestly saving Jim from Tabitha going off on him. And she's like, listen, you need to come and help me with Victor. He's not gonna listen to nobody but you, and this is a dire emergency. So Tab looked at Jim, rolled her eyes, and then looked back at Sara and was like, let me get my coat because I need to go help this other person. I don't have time to deal with you in this moment. Tabitha makes it out to where Victor is in Sara's basement, and it's pretty much of the same where Tabitha's like, Victor, sweetheart, this is a doll. And Victor is like crashing out, like he's yelling at them, he's punching the wall. He's like, no, we have to get its secrets. And Tab is like, calm down, like just calm down and breathe. We did it before when we got your memory back with Eloise, and we can do it again, but this is not the way. Sweetie, I need you to sit, and we need to just be in a calm state in order for you to be able to remember what you need to remember so that you can tell me what you need to tell me so we can get the hell up out of this place. So in the midst of this, she knows one of the things that calms him down is drawing pictures. So she's like, okay, do you want to draw pictures of what you're trying to remember? And he tells her, you know, the pictures were the things that remembered, and so that I didn't have to. So Victor would often draw what he saw because I'm assuming at some point he knew that his brain would not remember as he kept aging. So he would always go back to the pictures to rely on what happened. Like they're like a historian. So basically Victor's the historian of this town. But he tells her, I didn't draw pictures of Christopher and Jasper, so I can't remember, and that is the problem. So this is the big hurdle that we have to get through because Victor doesn't have his own physical evidence to reference, and that's why he's getting frustrated because he knows that this town has been altering his memories, and honestly the trauma of everything has his memories locked away, and that is where Sara and Tabitha have to get to in order to help him help them. Julie comes home and here go Jim. Hey girl, can you watch your brother? And she's like, for what? Like, I just walked in the door, I gotta go take care of something. Okay. So she's like, cool. Once again, everybody's being a parent to your kids but you. So Julie takes this moment, she goes upstairs to Ethan, and you know, he's still upset about everything that happened in the woods because he wants to help. And Julie, being the good sister, the surrogate mom, she's like, you know what, Ethan, I have something really cool to show you, and I also need your help with this. And all Ethan wants to do is help and to be treated like a person and not get treated like an infant. And this gets him up and ready to hang out with his sister mom. What was that important thing that Jim had to do? One of my favorite things is Jim getting cussed out. So Jade and Henry is just chopping it up. And Jade is just over there working, and Henry's just drinking and just asking, you know, regular questions. He's trying to understand, because even though Henry be drinking a lot, Henry is asking the right questions, and he only been here for a few days. Where Jim busts in and Jade's like, yeah, welcome to my humble abode. And he's like, you need to be stopping all of this. And Jim's like, come again? You dragging my wife and dragging my child out into this woods on this wild wild goose chase, putting thoughts into their heads, making her think that she could save people. And Jade was like, okay, first of all, is she fucking 9? The fuck? She is a grown-ass woman. Secondly, she came up in here. You know what? I'm not even gonna explain myself to you, because literally you are a miscreant. You are nothing. You are a fly. You are a gnat. You are shit on the bottom of a shoe, baby doll, okay? When Rose called Blanche that thing, and the thing that she called Blanche was the process in which poop turns white, that is you, Jim. That is you. And Jade's like, I'm not even about to explain myself. So Jim's like, well, then I'll do the talking. You're just sitting over here putting ideas in people's heads and all these other things, and I have a family, and you're just a narcissist, which I love, because I'm like, wow. Narcissists love throwing out that word, because I was like, wow. For like, what is it when you point at somebody, is more fingers pointing back at you? Like, that was this moment right here. And he was like, and I have a family to think about. And Jade made my favorite noise ever on the planet. And it's just like, that noise and that thing when you have information and you know you're about to end someone's entire existence in that moment. And so at that point, you can see in Jade's face, he's just listening to respond. He ain't listening to comprehend. He ain't listening to even care about Jim's feelings, because his next line is, out of the two of us, I am the only one doing some shit for your family to help them. And I'm getting sick and tired of your sanctimonious bullshit. And so Jim trying to, you know, he's reeling back because he ain't got shit to say. And he's just like, well, you're going to leave them out of this, and you just out here thinking that you're the smartest person in the room, and da-da-da-da. And Jim, your whole insecurity jumped out of your mouth. You're mad because he's smart and he just so happens to be an asshole. Jade hasn't been an asshole this entire season. So what are we even talking about, and what are we holding on to, first of all? But the fact of the matter is, you feel inferior to him, and it jumps out. You feel inferior to the fact that your wife, because of you, has to run to another man to be heard. She has to run to somebody else's arms, somebody else's empathy, because you aren't doing your job. And Jade tells him, look, you want to keep your kids away from me? Do what you will. But Tabitha is a grown-ass woman, so get the fuck out my face. I'm done with this conversation. Sit in your feelings, pick them up off the floor along with your face, and leave me the fuck alone. And Henry just sitting in the back, and he was like, well, that was pretty productive. And Jim is looking so fucking stupid. Like, I get such relief at Jim getting ended by the monsters on the phone, by Tabitha in that room, the monsters outside screaming in a room, going like going against him and agreeing with Tabitha, to Jade finally going to fuck off, and Henry just sitting there being like, yeah, you look like a fucking idiot. I love this so much for Jim. Love that for you. So Elgin is at the house, and he's in the bathroom, but he's not in the bathroom to take a shower or a bath, guys. I'm so sorry. He's in the bathroom with these jars to put his own blood to fill them up for Fatima. And now, the medical professional in me. So you not gonna get no alcohol wipe and sterilize the site? Okay. You really like stuck in. He got lucky with this, because I'm like, veins aren't like that deep, but I digress. So he's out here, you know, doing his own medical work on him, and nobody's seeing a thing. So like, nobody gotta pee. Nobody needs to wash their hands before they go eat. Like, Elgin legit is the house cat. He gets to do whatever he wants, and he gets to go places and discover places that nobody else knows. But we're building this up because now we know he is out to find Fatima. So at this point, it doesn't matter where Boyd tries to put her or Ellis or anything like that. The kimono lady is going to show Elgin exactly where she is. And whatever needs to get done is going to happen. Back at Jade's, Jim is looking at all of Jade's work and just, I don't even know, just feeling real stupid. When Henry says, you know, can I give you some unsolicited advice? And I love that he asked to give the unsolicited advice because he's gonna give it, but let me ask you because you didn't ask for it, but I'm gonna say it. And Jim is like, you know what, sure. And he was like, maybe when you're talking to your wife, you should shut the fuck up and listen. And Jim is like, what? And he's like, hey, calm down. I look at you and I see myself 40 years ago, and all I see is someone who continuously questions their wife. I did not listen to my wife at all, and I thought that she was crazy, and I thought that she was broken. And it never once crossed my mind that there was nothing in her for me to fix. You say that you're doing this for your family, but you're not. Everything that you're doing is for selfish reasons because you don't want to face the truth and you don't want to be faced with your own fear. And I'm the only motherfucker in this town that can tell you that because it's the truth and you would actually believe it and know that I am right because I lived it and I am here because of it. And you are simply a repeat of the mistakes that I made all those years ago. And Jim finally shuts the fuck up and receives something that may turn his behaviors around. And I love that for Henry, not for Jim. I love that for Henry. Thank you, Henry. So Mama Julie takes Ethan on a walk and they go over to the threshold and he's, you know, asking like, what is it? And she's explaining to him, you know, I feel something calling to me and pulling to me. I've been hearing voices every single day, which is why she's been smoking weed so she don't have to hear it. But when she stands in front of it, she doesn't hear it. And so Ethan tells her, you're at a threshold and it may hold some answers. And Julie's like, I know, and I'm scared. What do you think I should do? And Ethan goes, what? And it's so cute because this is the second time where you hear his excitement and his incredulousness when someone is asking him for his thoughts and him for his help. So he quickly recovers and he's like, I will go through this with you. And we see a different Julie and Ethan from season 1, episode 1, where she lived in tormenting him. And now we can kind of see that that was her way of lashing out from the divorce that her parents are trying to hide, to the fact that she is his mother right now and she's all he has. But she's doing to him what her parents are failing to do for them. And she's being honest with Ethan about her feelings, about being scared, about not having the answers. And sometimes as parents, that's all it takes. Stop walking around like you have everything figured out. Tell your kids that you are scared and walk with them through these things. And because her parents aren't doing that, Ethan and Julie are always away from them every single time. So I really love this moment where Julie leans on Ethan, and instead of treating him like a child the way she used to tease him, she's bringing him with her and treating him like he was also her same age, and he has this strength and this innocence that she can lean on and that she can draw from, because kids have a fearlessness in them. Even when they feel afraid, their logic and their mindset is very fearless, and it's adults who beat that out of kids. So Julie finds strength in this as Ethan puts his little hand in hers and they walk across the threshold. Unfortunately, Julie is thrust into a tomb and Ethan is left outside and cannot get in. Tab and Sara are with Victor and they're asking him questions like, you know, what were you wearing? What were you doing? And Tabitha's really trying to ask all these things, and Victor is just like, I don't even understand why you asking these questions. Like, none of this makes sense. When Sara says, was it nice outside? And Victor's like, what? And she's like, was it a nice day? Like, what did you feel? What was the breeze like? And shout out to therapist Sara, because while Tabitha was doing all she can to get him to focus on the memory of the thing, Sara takes a very, very smart approach by getting him to focus on other things. What was the sound like? What was the air against your skin? What did you eat? And gets him to focus on the things that are adjacent so that he can fall into the memory of what's to come. And this is actually the thing that he's able to anchor to as he starts to speak about what was going on that day. And what was happening that day was he was playing hide and seek with Eloise, and he couldn't find her anywhere. When he remembered that he ended up finding her in the church, and he thought that it was odd because Eloise was always scared to go in the church, but it was the only place that he didn't look. And when he walked in, that is where he saw Jasper and Christopher having the conversation, not in the tombs the way that his memory was trying to play a trick on him from before. So Acosta and Kenny are in Colony House questioning the man who found Tilly about, like, you know, was anything going on, just standard procedure, when the guy was like, why are you questioning me and not the girl who already killed somebody? So Acosta's looking at Kenny like, what? And Kenny's like, look, it's not even what you think. And they're like, oh, so you're defending the girl who killed your own father? That don't make no sense. So Kenny's like, all right, we done with this. We ain't getting nowhere. Like, it's fucking crazy in here. He's already seeing and feeling the buzz that everybody's gonna blame Sara regardless. So Acosta's outside like, it would have been nice to know that somebody here already committed some a crime. And Kenny's trying to explain to her, like, that's not the full story of what happened when Ethan is coming out of the woods screaming for help. So Kenny, Ethan, and Acosta run back to where Ethan was to help. I forgot. Oh my God. I was about to say Sara. To help Julie. So what's happening with Julie? When Julie crossed the threshold, she ended up being in the tombs where her, Marielle, and Randall were kept. And the screaming and everything is like full front and center when it suddenly stops. So she's walking through and she hears a voice, and we also hear this voice too that says, you need to climb. And we hear another voice says, there's nothing for me to hold on to. When Julie walks around and she sees the skeleton man chained to the wall. And he goes, Julie? And she's like, how do you know my name? And he's like, listen, drop that rope in the well. He needs it to get out. So she's like weary, but she goes and she drops it, and we see it's back in another season when Boyd was stuck in the well and a rope just came out of nowhere. So now in that season, everybody was like, how did this man that was chained drop this rope for him to get out? He did it. Julie did. So now all those theories about like a time loop and a time warp and maybe a little bit of time travel are in this. And more so also like a paranormal state and like a premonition state where you're living the future, but you forgot that you lived it. I can't even explain it. And there is a show or a movie that I saw that was kind of like this. But it's like, no, there is this movie. I think it was on Netflix. And this woman thought she was being haunted by a ghost and everything like that. But turns out it was her from the future helping herself in the past to save her life because her husband was trying to kill her. And in the past, her husband did succeed in killing her. And so she had this moment where she was able to go back in time to help herself out. But in that present, she thought that she was being haunted. Great movie. Oh my God, who was in it? I think it was either Isla Fisher or Amy Adams. I need to remember this movie because I love it so much and I can never find it. Anyways, I digress. So this is what we finally see Julie's manifestation of being trapped in there is. So I talked last week, like, you know, we're seeing Randall with the cicadas, but we don't really know what's happening with Julie or Marielle and what that experience is manifesting itself as outside of them being trapped. And so now we see that Julie has affected things in past seasons where Boyd was getting assistance, where Victor and Tabitha was hearing voices underneath the tunnel that they dug and all these other things and stuff that they were afraid of, but it was really Julie looking out to find them. And in this, Julie is scared and Julie is freaking out and she does not understand what's going on when Kenny and Acosta pick her up and carry her back out of the threshold. And she immediately gets up and she's just hugging Ethan, and Kenny and Acosta are like, what is going on? So Ellis and Boyd were having a deep argument back at the post office when Donna had walked in, and she was like, okay, what the fuck is going on? And Boyd finally had to tell her Sara did not kill Tilly, it was Fatima. So Donna was stunned into silence, okay? And Boyd finally tells her the full story of everything that was going on. He tells her what Fatima had told him. And she's like, we need to tell the people that Fatima did this. And Boyd's like, fuck nah, like we can't do that. And she was like, are you shitting me right now? They're literally getting ready to have pitchforks and fire pits to go march on Sara while you're sitting over here trying to protect Fatima. Now, I love her as if I gave birth to her, but we cannot do this, like, at all. And Boyd was like, well, they believe me with Sara, so they'll believe me now. And she was like, boy, do you think that they believe you and that they settled? No, they tolerated it because you told them that it was okay. And Boyd is like, well, I'll tell them again. And Donna was like, that's what you thought. It don't fucking work that way because they don't trust you anymore. They don't believe in you anymore. Now, let's run it back a few episodes from the town hall episode where I said specifically, the monsters are telling Boyd, we're going to break you. And I said, they will not break Boyd. But what they will do is break the people in town and break their trust in Boyd. And the town hall proved that. And so in the few episodes in between, you don't really see a lot of interaction between Boyd and them. And there's like a veiled trust. But in this episode, Donna finally calls a spade and she tells him, no one believes in you. No one believes in your leadership. We're just out here trying to exist and trying to be normal, and nobody's going to say it to your face. But I'm going to tell you this right now. You will not be able to face those people and say that Fatima did it, but it's okay. We can explain it away like cranes in the sky. Absolutely not. You will also fall on that sword along with Fatima. So if you don't tell them, I will. And she walked out. And she's right. And also the monsters are winning. This is the thing that they needed. You were their beacon of hope, and now you are a liar. You are a schemer, and you withhold information, not only from them other people, which honestly they're NPCs anyway, but you withhold information from the important people like Donna. And you're crashing out. And you're coming up with these rash decisions without talking them through with anybody, to the point where now Donna has to go and be on the opposite side of you and force your hand. But what does Boyd do? He packs a bag for Ellis because he's planning on Ellis and Fatima hiding out until they sort things out. This is a terrible, terrible fucking idea. Elgin got his blood supplies, got his backpacks and everything like that. And he goes and finds Fatima. How does he know where Fatima is? Because Kimono Lady sent him a picture and told him where it was. So he's out here like, hey, we're going to go somewhere else that's more secure. People might be looking for you. But Ellis is here. Like, I know exactly somewhere to go. Nobody will ever figure this out. So Fatima is still crazed, still panicked. She's following Elgin. She has no reason not to trust Elgin whatsoever. He takes her to the cellar that's out in the middle of nowhere. And they go down there, and Fatima's like, Ellis, like, where you at? And Elgin's like, oh, he'll be coming soon. And she's like, didn't this motherfucker just say that Ellis is here? So she's like, look, let's just go up to the top and let's wait on Ellis. Like, we can wait on him outside. And Elgin's like, no, girl, it's gonna be okay. Like, Fatima, trust me. Like, it's gonna be okay. Like, you and the baby just need to rest. Like, everything's gonna be cool. And Fatima's like, look, Elgin, thank you, but like, actually we did an ultrasound and there is no baby, so I'm gonna go back upstairs. And Elgin stops her and he's like, there is a baby, it's just not yours. At this point, Fatima is in full fight or flight mode when her stomach caves in again. And Elgin's like, look, like, I just need to take care of you. Like, you're just hungry, girl. Like, just let me take care of you. And she's trying to get out. She's trying to push past him, but she's in no state to fight whatsoever. When Elgin apologizes and says, I am so sorry, but it has to be this way. And he drags her back down the cellar stairs as she screams for someone to help her. So there's that. Season 3, episode 8, Thresholds. 54 minutes of quiet chaos. Oh my God, this episode is like when the water is boiling on the pot and it's not bubbling over. It's like right when it reaches boiling point and you're still good and you're still safe and you're like, okay, but everything is bubbling and everything is rumbling. That is this episode for me. My God, what a time. Whew. Okay, things that I predict. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start. So in my recap, there was something that I specifically did not mention that happens, that Victor discovers in this episode. And honestly, every week I kind of keep certain things out just in case people haven't watched the episode yet. Maybe they listen to me before they go watch the episode and I want to keep like nuggets of surprise. But I will say with this revelation, next episode, it's going to be straight answers. Straight answers. The fact that Victor is finally remembering and finally connecting some things together, and the fact that he always remembers things with Tabitha, we are seeing their worlds collide like none other. And a lot of people are out there thinking that Victor is basically Ethan and Miranda is Tabitha, and so the reason that she's able to get to him is because in some universe that was always her son. Okay, another thing that I predict is that Fatima has been taken. Like, we know that for sure. What does this mean in the next episode? I think it'll definitely buy some time for Boyd to figure out a way to spin this story in a way that the people of this town trust him in the chaos of looking for Fatima. Because at the end of the day, Donna said that she was going to tell everybody regardless. So we know that this is coming and we cannot escape this. So it only makes sense that it's going to happen and come out in episode 9. Another thing that I see is Acosta maybe taking Boyd's place in this whole thing. Even though they don't really trust her, her refusal to take this fucking uniform off, I think might be the symbol that they need to hold on to, because nobody else can run this town. Not in the way that it needs to be. Donna doesn't want to run it that way, and neither does Kenny. And Acosta is very eager to please and very eager to get those people's forgiveness, that I think she would absolutely put herself in a position to usurp Boyd, and this will be the catalyst for that thing to happen. What else? I do think that more answers to what Julie experienced in this tomb will happen, and I think she's gonna tell Ethan, and Ethan is gonna be the one to help her figure it out. She's literally not talking to anybody, and they're the only two people leaning on each other. And Ethan is a man of illustrated books. He's a man of fairy tale, and he's so opposite of Jim, because the thing that we keep asking Jim is, out of all the things that you've seen, why do you keep trying to apply logic to these things? And in order for people to get answers from Victor, from Ethan, you have to apply make-believe, you have to apply fiction and draw out some of those things in those stories, because right now the stories and the fairy tales are the only thing that makes sense in this world. And to be able to go to your books, to go to your childhood situations and all the stories that you used to tell in the dark, and the boogeyman underneath the bed and in the closet, that might actually be the key to this whole situation, at least specifically for Julie. So I love that we're finally on a thread of answers with her storyline. I really, really, really look forward to that as well. And then my last prediction, I'm trying to think of everything that happened in this episode. I honestly, I don't think Donna is ever gonna trust Boyd ever again. I just don't, like, at all. So unfortunately, I feel like that relationship is fractured, and this was the episode to do it. So that makes me really, 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 really sad. But that's the goal of the monsters, y'all. Like, that's just it. So before we wrap up this episode, I was lucky enough, and I'm so honored to have been able to interview Hannah Cheramy, aka Julie Matthews, ahead of this episode. So if you made it all the way here, then you're actually gonna see not part of, but our entire interview, where I get to ask her some questions, not only about her character, but the way that her character interacts with others, and where we can look forward to seeing Julie's character go in the future. So thank y'all for rocking with me. MGM, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And thank you, Hannah, for sitting with me and allowing me to ask you my questions. I was super excited. It was literally written all over my face. So without further ado, here is my interview with Hannah Cheramy, aka Julie Matthews, of the hit series From. Good morning, and thank you for joining me with So There's That. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. So we only have 5 minutes, so I just want to jump right into your character. First and foremost, Julie is going through a lot, okay? Like, outside of just the monsters, she's dealing with the family trauma of losing Thomas. She's dealing with her parents, like, pretending to get a divorce, not get a divorce. And she's a surrogate mom for Ethan, all while still going through puberty. Like, she can't even drive yet. So my question for you is, how do you approach a character with all of these complexities? And was there anything challenging as you were reading the script and as you were going through the process?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because each season, like, she gets more complex, like, as the seasons go on. So I think it's challenging, but it's also very rewarding to add on different layers to Julie, and to keep delving into her background and to keep delving into her future that's coming for her. So
Yeah.
it's really fun playing all those layers.
Was there anything particularly, like, emotional for you that you maybe drew upon in your own personal life to kind of add some elements and some layers to her character?
Yeah, I mean, you think of anything that's happened to you that's maybe sad, and that's kind of what you can draw on. I won't get into like crazy details, but you draw into anything that's kind of like sad, and you can use that to sort of feel what Julie's feeling in the moment. It's helpful.
Julie has a lot going on, and I'm super excited for everybody to see where her story goes. But one of the big things that I know a lot of people are talking about is, like, your relationship to Randall. How would you describe what that relationship is, or what's happening with that character?
I kind of see it as just sort of like, I don't know. It's a weird one. I don't really know exactly what's going on, but I kind of see it. I would like to see it more as just like big brother, little sister, because I do
Yeah.
see a lot of people sort of shipping them, but I'm like, that's a minor. Stay away from her. So
Yes.
I don't know if I'd go down that route, but who
I
knows?
definitely see Julie searching for, like, a connection, because you're really kind of the only teenager,
Yeah.
and then you're a young woman, and there's all these things. And so as we see her in season one, as she first meets Fatima in Colony House, to now, what can we expect from Julie as it pertains to just connections and relationships?
Yeah, I think Julie has always been a person who's focused more on connection and relationships than on maybe like the mysteries of the town and getting out, like as opposed to her mom and dad who were kind of trying to like solve this place, or Jade. Whereas Julie's just kind of like, well, this is my situation, this is where I'm at, so I might as well just try to live for today. And that's kind of tying back into why she chose Colony House in the first place in season one.
Well, you're definitely like on me. This is my first time seeing you and your work and just watching you go from season 1 to even now through the finale. It's just a lot of things that's happening with Julie, and I'm just super excited with what you're bringing to the character with the angst and the anger and the feelings and even trying to find joy. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you for saying that.
All right, well, I definitely am super excited for everybody to see what is coming in the finale, and hopefully we get to do this again. And I hope you have an amazing, wonderful day and good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Thank you.